You know how stressful it is when guidance systems go down. You lose field time. You lose yield potential. You lose patience. Help is here. Raven Cruiser 2 RTK with Slingshot. Precision simplified. Learn more at ravensimple.com.
Our weed of the week is Heath Aster.
You know, anytime you have a perennial weed that can reproduce by seed, by stolons, by rhizomes,
Hey,
all these things, that's trouble.
All right, so I'm sure you're familiar that most weeds go to seed and that's how they reproduce. But this Heath Aster plant also has rhizomes that are basically runners below ground. But Darren, what's a stolon?
Well, a stolon is kind of like a rhizome, except it's above ground. So you've got things above ground, below ground, you got seeds. This is a tough weed. I me,. It really wants to reproduce.
So how are we going to get it under control? The only things that are labeled on Heath Aster are going to be Velpar, Tordon, and 2,4-D is okay. So
that's some great choices there, Brad.
Yeah, we're not going to be using those out in crop ground a whole lot. Now, Roundup is halfway okay on it, but remember, this is a tough perennial weed. It's relatively short in stature, not going to grow real tall. It's usually got some clusters right at the base. The stem's a little bit hairy. But, you know, if we can get a good crop canopy, we don't generally have a big problem with it, and tillage will help a little bit too. Where we see this most commonly is in non-crop ground.
Well, it's very important. A lot of times we get asked, why are you so worried about killing these weeds? Why do you say all weeds must die? Well, weeds are plants growing in the wrong place. They may be an okay plant, but they're hurting other plants around where they're growing. So if you let a weed like Heath Aster take over your area, all of a sudden you aren't going to have enough grass for your horse or your cattle to graze.
Yeah, but the bigger thing, Darren, is this plant's poisonous. So if you eat it, it's not going to be a good thing. We want to get Heath Aster under control. So again, Velpar, Tordon, 2,4-D, just make sure you're using good strong rates because we got a lot of weed to kill, not just above ground, but below ground too. By the time you figure the normal roots, the rhizomes, and the stolons, that's a big plant.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week's Weed, but there's more Ag PhD to come after this.